Receive everyone a warm greeting. Welcome to one more conference of this self-knowledge course. Today we will be learning a practice that consists of wisely using the law of correspondence, so that by making ourselves aware during the day of the dimension in which we are, we can, by correspondence, become aware of being in the fifth dimension when we find ourselves in the world of dreams. So, the objective of the topic that we will study today will be to learn a valuable and very simple technique, known as the jump, which will allow us to achieve our first conscious astral experience, if we have not already achieved it, and to manage to increase the continuity with which we consciously project ourselves to the astral if we are already achieving it. But before explaining what the jump technique is like, let's briefly remember what astral projection is, and what this practice is for. Astral projection is the process by which our soul, clothed in the astral body, goes out to the fifth dimension of nature. This is a completely natural process that occurs every time our physical body falls asleep, and is of vital importance since only when the psyche or soul leaves the physical body, the vital body can recharge the energies of the physical body during those hours of sleep. But it happens that our conscience is asleep, and we spend the whole day fascinated, forgetful of ourselves, totally identified with the psychological defects that emerge in us in the face of the different circumstances of our daily life, and completely immersed in our thoughts and emotions. And due to that, we live in that dreaming state during the day, and by correspondence, we go to the astral plane every night to dream. And we are not able to realize that we are dreaming, no matter how absurd or surreal the experience we are living is. We can easily see elephants flying in a dream, and that does not shake us out of the state of unconsciousness. In Lecture 3 of this course, we saw different techniques to achieve this astral projection process in a conscious way, making us aware of that moment in which the astral body separates from the physical body and passes to the fifth dimension, or astral plane, so we can move at will on that plane. For those who haven't seen Lecture 3 of the course, I invite you to look for it in the video section. The practice of conscious astral projection is a very important tool for the process of self-knowledge and the awakening of our consciousness. Let's talk a little about what this practice is for, and what we can do once we find ourselves consciously unfolded on the astral plane. Through conscious astral projection, we can corroborate the existence of different dimensions in nature, in addition to this third dimension where our physical body is located. We can also corroborate that we have more bodies with which our essence can manifest in other dimensions, since we will see ourselves moving with a body that, although identical to the physical body, has a different nature and different capabilities. For example, with our astral body we can go through walls, fly, move from one place to another at the speed of thought, etc. With this technique we can access the wisdom of the higher dimensions, converse directly with the different parts of our being, and receive their guidance and direction. We can ask our being to show us the truth of anything we want to understand, like corroborating the knowledge we are receiving in these conferences. We can investigate our past lives, investigate our karmas, verify the progress we are making in our inner work, and receive information about the psychological death work we must do. In reality, there are infinite things we can do and investigate in that higher dimension of nature. That is why it is so important that we make the effort to begin to achieve this practice, and become aware of ourselves on the astral plane. The technique that we will learn today is based on the law of correspondence. This is the law that tells us that as above, so below, and as it is inside, so it is outside. Therefore, just as we make the effort to become constantly aware of ourselves and the dimension we are in, while we are on the physical plane, correspondingly, this will result in us becoming aware of ourselves and the dimension in which we are, when we find ourselves on the astral plane. It is very common that what we do during the day we end up repeating mechanically in the world of dreams. We spend the day working and we dream of working. We identify with any circumstance on the physical plane, and we end up recreating that situation on the astral plane. Let's then use the knowledge we now have about how we live subjected to this law, to begin to become conscious during the day, and awaken consciousness when we are on the astral plane. What does the jump practice consist of? First, let's reflect that when we are in the dream world, we always assume that we are awake, that we are in the physical plane. Therefore, we must stop assuming that we are in the third dimension just because it seems that way to us. We must begin to corroborate which plane we are on at any moment. Right now, you could find yourself in a dream, listening to this lecture, and the way to verify if right now you are on the astral plane, during a dream, or if you are on the physical plane, is by taking a small jump with the desire of remaining floating. That, to check in which dimension you are in right now. If you are on the physical plane, due to the law of gravity you will immediately descend heavily to the ground. If you are on the astral plane, as that dimension is governed by fewer laws, and among these there is not the law of gravity such as in the physical plane, when jumping with the intention to float, you will see that you remain floating. That is what this technique consists of, in practicing jumping during the day with the desire to float, to verify in what dimension we are. Constantly repeating it during the day, wondering what dimension we are in, helps us become aware, since during the night what we do during the day will be repeated. We will discover that we are in the astral plane when we see that we float. Another way to confirm which plane we are on is to try to stretch out a finger. Since the astral body is molecular in nature, not cellular like the physical body, when we repeat that procedure while on the astral plane, we will see the finger stretch, as if it were made of rubber, and then return to its normal state. That will let us immediately know that we are on the astral plane, then we can move at will in that dimension, and follow the objective that we have set. When should we do this practice of jumping to check which dimension we are in? Well, we should get used to doing it every time we get out of bed, since it is quite common to dream that we wake up and get out of bed, even go to the bathroom, and carry out certain activities, and then wake up again, but now in the physical plane. That is why it is highly recommended that we get into the habit of always doing this practice when we get up. Also, every time we change activities, ask ourselves what plane we are on, and do the checking. We must make the effort to maintain ourselves in a state of alert perception, of remembering ourselves, being awake, in self-observation, in order to be able to discover and eliminate those psychological defects that manifest themselves in us from moment to moment, and that put our consciousness to sleep. So, every time we return to self-remembering, we should check which dimension we are in. It is also highly recommended to do this practice of taking the jump every time we see something that is surprising, or out of the ordinary. That will make us stop assuming everything as normal, and that when faced with any of those absurd and even surreal things that happen in dreams, we are called to ask ourselves if we are in a dream. And when we verify it, we will find that we are indeed during a dream in the astral plane. The result of this practice will be that we will begin to gain awareness of ourselves on the physical plane. And this will result in that we will have awareness of ourselves in the astral plane, and that we can begin to move at will in the fifth dimension of nature. The only requirement to achieve results in this technique is to practice with great desire, a lot of discipline and patience until you achieve it. We hope that this technique will be very useful to you. This was today's conference. If you have any questions regarding the topic, you can leave them in the comments, and we will gladly resolve your concerns. In the next conference, we will be analyzing a very important topic, in which we will understand why the path to self-realization is difficult, and we will reveal some obstacles that we will encounter in inner work and how to transcend them, as well as the way to avoid all possible forms of self-deception that can lead us astray from our progress towards the intimate self-realization of our being. Don't miss the study of this important topic. Until next time.